Ever since that day, a shutter's come down, and that's what he does when he gets somebody answering back at him, so to speak.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, come in, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place. Imagine learning later in life that one of your parents considered you a complete disappointment on the day you were born.
Before heard audio tapes in her own words, she reveals how then Prince Charles, now King Charles, was disappointed when he found out that their youngest son, Prince Harry, was not a girl.
My husband won't even talk to Mummy, barely, because at Harry's christening, Charles went up to Mummy and said, you know, he was so disappointed, we thought it'd be a girl. And Mummy snapped his head off and said, you should realise how lucky you are to have a child that's normal. Ever since that day, a shutter's come down, and that's what he does when he gets somebody answering back at him, so to speak.
Imagine carrying that feeling of rejection from childhood through adolescence, then into adulthood. Imagine that, regardless of the extraordinary things you've achieved in your life, the aching chasm of rejection becomes wider because that same parent cannot accept that you are capable of independent thought. Maybe some of you don't need to imagine that because the same things have happened to you. I always find it strange that because one comes from a background of wealth and privilege, it's automatically assumed that that person is shielded from or doesn't even have the right to express their feelings about situations which psychologically affect them, especially when those situations involve family.
An emotional Prince Harry says he feels devastated and let down after losing a legal battle over receiving taxpayer-funded security when his family visits the UK. Speaking to the BBC, the Duke said he feels the victim of a good old-fashioned stitch-up after the Home Office announced it was downgrading his security arrangements back in 2020. Harry said he didn't realise at the time that the royal household was involved, and he feels they knowingly put him and his family in harm's way. He said they cannot come to the UK safely as they are subject to many serious threats and private security isn't enough. The Duke said it's the only issue preventing reconciliation with the King and other senior royals, something he wants to happen. But he revealed his father still isn't speaking to him. Here's our royal editor Chris Shipp on Harry's heartbreak.
Prince Harry was most recently in the UK last month to attend the same Court of Appeal hearing over his security that today he was told he had lost after judges ruled that his security arrangements were both sensible and appropriate. The Duke of Sussex responded this afternoon and he did not hold back.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. and the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done.
Harry had taken legal action against the government, claiming the taxpayer-funded security he's given while in the UK should not have been downgraded after he left the royal family. But judges today upheld a decision by a Home Office committee called RAVEC, saying it was the right one.
That these were powerful and moving arguments. It was plain that the Duke of Sussex felt badly treated by the system. But I concluded, having studied the detail of the extensive documentation, I could not say that the Duke's sense of grievance translated into a legal argument for the challenge to RAVEC's decision.
There are many reasons why the relationship between Harry and his family are so bad. Different attitudes to the press, alleged treatment of Meghan during her time here. But this dispute over his security is one of them. And Harry today, referencing his father's cancer, said his new security arrangement is the reason why he does not talk to the king.
He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
Blaming his family for the breakdown is not new. He's done that in his book and in interviews before, but singling out a government, in this case the Conservative one of 2020, is highly unusual. And despite everything, the not speaking, the private conversations shared in books and on TV shows, Harry said today he still wants reconciliation with his family.
I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious.
Buckingham Palace has not yet responded to Prince Harry's interview. Often these days, they choose not to.
So, Chris, he wants a reconciliation and is clearly upset. So what happens now?
Yeah, clearly upset that he's lost this court case today. But, Charlene, I've been going through this interview. Look, we didn't know it was coming. It came out of the blue this afternoon. And whilst it's a surprise, there's not a lot new in there. I mean, Harry's told us before in an ITV documentary last year that he can't bring his wife and children to this country because he doesn't feel like they're safe in the country of Harry's birth. He said before about his surprise that the royal family sits on this committee we've heard so much about, RAVEC, which is what the committee that the Home Office uses to decide all of these things. And he's clearly highly upset that this decision has not gone his way. It was previously at the High Court. Today was the Court of Appeal, and they said that the right decision was made in the courts. Look, as for what he said about his father, I mean, I think it is a surprise. It continues to be a surprise to me that they still don't talk. They don't see one another, particularly when Harry's in this country, given everything that the King's going through. And he spoke about his cancer recently. But clearly a very upset man, and no sign that this rift is going to heal anytime soon.
All right, Chris, thanks very much.
It comes as no surprise to me to hear that the royal family sits on the committee RAVEC, and I'm going to make the unfounded assumption that the loudest voice belongs to William. By keeping Harry's security at a downgraded level, William can't be accused of not authorising any security for his brother and his family. But William knows it's inadequate because it contravenes Queen Elizabeth's provision, which was at a greater level. This article is from marieclaire.com, published on the 11th of December 2023, and the headline reads, "A 2020 letter from Queen Elizabeth demands that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle be provided with effective security even after moving to the US." Now, I'm not going to read the entire article. I'll just read the wording of the letter that was provided in the article. And it says, "You'll understand well that ensuring that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex remain safe is of paramount importance to Her Majesty and her family. Given the Duke's public profile by virtue of being born into the royal family, his military service, the Duchess's own independent profile, and the well-documented history of targeting the Sussex family by extremists, It is imperative that the family continues to be provided with effective security. What Ravek have done, in my opinion, is used effective as the linchpin for their decision, in that they've interpreted effective as they want to interpret it, not how Queen Elizabeth meant it. So as far as they're concerned, Harry's downgraded security is effective. Which is so disingenuous and very, very sneaky. It suits William for Harry and Meghan not to be in the UK, because the focus invariably always shifts to the Sussexes and away from the Waleses. William has always had and still maintains a fragile ego. Remember the audio I played at the beginning? William is undeniably his father's son, very good at giving the silent treatment when he feels offended. William always expected his baby brother to remain in his designated role as William's understudy, a spare part to hoover up crumbs of work as and when they became available. Never in a million years did William expect his baby brother to marry a woman of independent means with an independent way of doing things, a direct opposite to his own wife. William seems to be a do as I say, not as I do kind of guy. He condemns Harry for not wanting to toe the royal line, but we increasingly see William's resistance against his father's wishes becoming more evident. One example is William's recent termination of services from Charles's lawyers and engaging the services of his late mother's law firm. Here's another example of William attempting to assert his authority. This article is from cambridge-news.co.uk, published on the 25th of April 2025, and the headline reads, King Charles issues stern reminder to Prince William as heir reluctant to obey order. Prince William is set to attend the funeral of the late Pope this weekend, but a palace insider has claimed the heir was reluctant to obey the order to attend. Prince William and Princess Kate are often viewed as the contemporary embodiment of the monarchy, topping the popularity charts among the royal family. However, questions have been raised about the future king's commitment to his official responsibilities. The Scottish Daily Express has reported that palace aides are worried about William's reluctance to travel abroad unless it is for an initiative he enjoys or is involved with. For the last year, Kate's cancer treatment has resulted in a lack of official outings. However, the newspaper suggests that murmurs of concern had started circulating within the palace even before her diagnosis and have persisted since she completed her treatment. The prince largely stayed within the UK last year. Critics, however, have noted that he managed to find time to jet off to Euro 2024 and attend the Earthshot Prize event in South Africa, reports Gloucestershire Live. The Daily Mail reports that this issue seems to have resurfaced this week following William's selection to attend Pope Francis's funeral. Insiders have alleged that the Prince of Wales was reluctant to obey the order. It is suggested that his father pulled rank to ensure his presence at the event. This decision means that 42-year-old William will miss the FA Cup semi-final featuring his beloved team, Aston Villa, who are due to face Crystal Palace at Wembley. William has been a regular supporter at Villa Park, passionately backing the team during their successful season. Inside sources from the palace shed light on an incident in January when William was slated to pay his respects at President Jimmy Carter's state funeral in the United States. However, it appears that William wasn't keen on going, leading to Prince Edward stepping in to represent the royal family instead. The funeral coincided with Kate's 43rd birthday. Although having never met Pope Francis, Prince William is set to join global dignitaries at the Vatican this Saturday to commemorate the pontiff, who recently passed away aged 88. Pope Francis cultivated a warm rapport with King Charles, a monarch with profound respect for spiritual matters. Reports suggest William's devotion to his faith may not be as intense. However, he does hold the Church of England in high esteem, an institution he will eventually lead upon ascending the throne. In a recent video, I asked how Harry's downgraded security arrangements will affect Invictus 2027. Birmingham Council currently has a waste management crisis because they've run out of money. Endless piles of uncollected rubbish in the streets for weeks on end, leading to serious public health concerns. If the Invictus Committee decide to relocate the games, that will mean that local businesses will lose out on millions of pounds in potential revenue, money which they will be desperate for, even in a couple of years' time. Should that be the case, Birmingham residents shouldn't even think about raising any grievances against Harry, but rather direct their anger towards the Home Office, more specifically William and Rabeck. This is just another example of how the UK establishment operates, always looking for the short-term gains rather than the long-term benefits. Just as William is his father's son, Harry makes no apology for being his mother's son, who also wore her heart on her sleeve and was not afraid to express her feelings. Speaking of Harry being his mother's son, I always wondered why Diana had an affinity with the USA and expressed a desire to live there. So being the inquisitive character that I am, I discovered that Diana's maternal great-grandmother, Frances Ellen Work, I guess that's where Diana's middle name Frances comes from, was an American heiress and socialite born in New York City in 1857 and died there in 1947. Although I feel that Harry was always destined to spend a considerable part of his life in the US, it would be unreasonable to suggest that just because Harry lives a much better existence there than he could ever hope to do in the UK, it would not be natural for him to miss the country of his birth. However, as far as the royal triad is concerned, William will continue to deny Harry because William loves to hold a grudge. Charles will continue to deny Harry because he didn't even want him since the day he was born. And Camilla is just there to twist the knife because Harry is a constant reminder of her nemesis who took away the man she really loved. On a much lighter and ironic note, how many of you remember this man? Alex Beresford is the weatherman who, in defending Meghan, caused Piers Morgan to storm out of the Good Morning Britain studios like a spoilt child. This article is from VanityFair.com, published on the 30th of April 2025, and the headline reads, "The UK has found another reason to be mad at Meghan Markle. A London-based gift service helped the Duchess spread her as-ever jam in her husband's home country, but it didn't head off a recent tabloid controversy." Thus far, Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand, As Ever, has only been shipping its products to customers in America, but over the last week, a few lucky people in the UK got a special delivery of her raspberry preserves thanks to a partnership with Colford, a London-based gifting service. A pleasure to assist Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, in spreading jam and joy amongst friends in the UK, the company wrote on its Instagram account. Our white glove chauffeur service facilitated a seamless handover at every doorstep. Colford, which helps companies and individuals source and deliver sustainable gifts, was founded in 2023 by Imogen Beresford and Nathan Cole. Beresford is married to TV presenter Alex Beresford, who made headlines in 2021 after he defended Meghan from Piers Morgan's attack on Good Morning Britain. Last week, Alex Beresford took to Instagram to thank Meghan for sending a jar of the jam to their family home, along with a jellycat stuffed animal for the couple's daughter, Camille. The article goes on to talk about the big hoo-ha with regard to HRH, which I just find so funny. So it says, because Meghan and Harry agreed not to use the HRH title for public purposes when they left their roles in the palace in 2020, some British outlets and commentators accused Meghan of violating the agreement with Queen Elizabeth II by sending the note. Just sending a note, to a friend. Ingrid Seward of Majesty magazine argued that the late Queen would be highly offended as she was very sensitive about that, according to the Daily Mail. So the Queen would be offended by Meghan putting HRH on a card to accompany a gift, but the Queen would not be offended by her security arrangements for Harry and Meghan being completely undermined by the firm. Please make that make sense. Please make that make sense. In response, a source close to Meghan and Harry told the BBC that the gift to Lima was private and given more than a year ago, and that the couple does not use the HRH title for public or commercial purposes. In the selection of As Ever products reviewed by Vanity Fair, all refer only to the name Meghan and none refer to her as the Duchess of Sussex. For years, UK commentators have wondered if Meghan and Harry would be able to sustain public attention without an endorsement from the royals, and the apparent success of As Ever is one indication that they can. It's unclear if anyone beyond friends and family can get their hands on As Ever in the UK, but there is still an obvious demand for coverage of Meghan, even if it is negative. So guys, you won't be surprised to learn that I'm in full agreement with Harry. This is a stitch up. A right royal stitch up. All because Charles and William want to exercise their leverage against Harry to keep him under control. They can't control him any other way, and this security issue is the one thing that they can use as leverage against him because they're so aggrieved. So many things are left out of the conversation when we talk about Harry's security. The fact that he offered to pay for police protection. He has the means to do it, but they refuse it because it would be convenient for them if Harry were not around. I'm just going to say it. I don't want to say it, but I am going to say it. And I use Diana as an example. Can you imagine if Diana were around today, how awkward it would be for Charles and Camilla if her presence, her physical presence was still felt? They needed a clear pathway so that they could finally be together. And the only way to do that was to have Diana out of the way. I don't care what anyone says. Things don't add up when it comes to that situation. So with regard to, people saying Harry is a liability because he expresses himself just like his mum did, and you see what they did to his mum, they want to do the same thing to him. If Harry were out of the picture, and Meghan for that matter, focus they think would be on Kate and William. I don't think so. I mean, Diana's not here and she still is more popular than Camilla and Charles.
If Meghan Markle thought her children were as beautiful as she is, we'd see their faces.
Meghan is telling us that just about every night she's writing letters to her children.
That's sweet.
Let's be real, they hate her. They can't get away fast enough.
Who is this
So
witch?
when they grow up and they open these letters, or perhaps, in the event of her untimely death.
Whoa!
Which, she probably fantasizes about becoming a new Diana.
I don't even know what to make of this, only to say that so much information that I've come across which I will never be able to share on this channel because it will definitely get me into trouble. But I've never held the royal family in high regard simply because of their unscrupulous ways. Now, William stamping his foot because he was ordered to go to the Pope's funeral. Stamping his foot because he had other things to do. If he cannot exercise diplomacy, if he cannot fulfill his diplomatic role as the king in waiting, when he becomes head of state as the King of England, how much more difficult is it going to be for him? And we say when he becomes king. Nothing in this life is guaranteed. We see that the desire to hold the role of king or queen becomes less desirable. Elizabeth didn't want to do the job. She was forced to do the job by virtue of the fact that her uncle abdicated and then her father died, so she was next in line. She did the job for 70 years to the best of her ability because she was prepared to make that commitment. Charles, I don't know what this man is doing, put his illness to one side. He was never going to achieve what his mother achieved. You know, it's not about the length of time, it's what you do with that time. And then you have William, who wants to, you know, be a stay-at-home monarch, as I've talked about before. Now, if he's setting that example for George, when it comes to George's time, if we even get that far, how do you think George is going to be as king if he's seen his dad do it so half-heartedly and not wanting to perform his duty? So when they talk about, oh, you know, Kate and William are the embodiment of the monarchy, no, because they don't want to do the job. They want a quiet life. Harry and Meghan are envied by them because they have the freedom to set their own agenda and they are not told what to do. As a 42-year-old man and a 43-year-old woman, Kate and William, I'm sure they're fed up a bit. I would be. How can you tell me as a big woman that I've got to do this and I've got to do that? But they forget that they're paid by us and we expect them to fulfill their obligation. So if William doesn't want to do the job, don't take our money. And don't condemn Harry and Meghan for doing what they're doing. We're not paying them. I'm just happy that Meghan's business continues to thrive. And the thought came to me, Royal Collection, they always want to bring that up when Meghan brings out her products, but I've never heard of any Royal Collection products selling out. They are readily available, and as much as I would love to try Meghan's products, I'm glad they're not available in the UK, because the more something is easily accessible, the less value it has. The fact that her products sold out within the first hour of them being launched on her website, I'm happy. That will never happen with the Royal Collection. So there's no competition as far as I'm concerned. And these are the things that irk the institution. And that's why it would be so convenient for, I hate talking about this, but it would be so convenient for Harry and Meghan to be taken out, because that's one less thing for the institution to worry about, as per Diana. That about wraps it up for this video, guys. So if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you shall catch me in the next video.